GENS 9005 Psychology of Work Group Presentation. Welcome to Group 33's group presentation. The team members are Bonnie, Kathy, Lam, Lauren, Rui, Gwynnie, and myself, Evette. In today's presentation, we will be discussing leadership. Firstly, we'll introduce and define leadership. Then we will discuss the different theories of leadership, such as behavioural and contingency or situational. Following that, we will examine the empirical evidence and provide information regarding the sources. Finally, we will analyse the case study of Tesco, a multinational grocery and general merchandise retailer. So, what is leadership? Leadership is defined as a process of social influence which maximises the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. As a leader, essentially you inspire and motivate others to achieve a certain goal. The two theories our group decided to analyse was the behavioural theory and the contingency or situational theory. Firstly, the behavioural theory. The behavioural theory suggests that leadership effectiveness is reflected by the leader's behaviour, that is, their actions. The theory focuses on the study of specific behaviours of a leader and proposes that certain behavioural patterns may be identified as leadership styles. The contingency or situational theory suggests that leadership effectiveness depends on the leader's ability to adapt his or her style to the demands of the situation. The theory takes into account that individuals are not identical as they have different skill sets and attitudes. Collectively, individuals may also behave differently as opposed to if they were by themselves. One of the most historical leadership theories is the behavioural theory. This theory seeks to describe leadership in terms of what leaders do, and that certain behavioural patterns may be identified as leadership styles. The main assumption of this theory is that leaders can be made, rather than born, and that successful leadership is based on definable, learnable behaviour. According to this theory, people can learn to become leaders by being taught the most appropriate behavioural responses for any given situation. One of the most highly used models in organisations today is the leadership grid model. This model is based on two behavioural dimensions: concern for production and the concern for people, as well as the manager's motivation. As seen in the diagram, the model identifies 5 main leadership styles, and later, 2 additional styles were recognised. However, the behavioural theory also has various limitations. This theory neglects the environment in which behaviours are demonstrated and is unrealistic that a given set of behaviours would work in all circumstances. Thus, over time, this led to the development of the situation or contingency approach to leadership. Our main focus theory is the contingency or situational theory. This theory can be defined as the idea that the effectiveness of leadership is reliant on the person's characteristics and the requirements of the situations involved. Essentially, leaders should possess different characteristics that can be used in various situations. This allows the leader to be effective in diverse scenarios, rather than just one kind. We have chosen the contingency theory as our main focus for this presentation, as it has generally been well supported in empirical studies and is also very versatile within leadership roles. This theory focuses on person-environment interaction, which is extremely relevant to the Tesco case study, which we will discuss shortly. It applies the most as it is inclusive and takes into account both the traits of the leader and the situations in which they must lead. The large emphasis on the leader-person interaction assures that the leader is aware of the uniqueness of each individual involved. The theory acknowledges that the outcomes of various situations are dependent on both the style of leadership used to deal with the circumstances and the situation itself. This theory incorporates elements of the previously explained behavioural theory, but accounts for the importance of environment and acknowledges that the outcome is subjective depending on the situation. However, as with most theories, there are certain limitations. This theory does not account for when the leader's skills cannot adapt to the situation or when they do not fit the circumstance. Now we will be discussing empirical evidence in regards to the contingency or situational theory of leadership. Froome and Jargo acknowledge the advantages provided by the characteristics and function of the situational theory of leadership. They state, unlike traits, behaviour is potentially influenced not only by the leader's dispositions, but also by the situations that leaders confront. Therefore, this highlights that leaders must adapt their style of leadership behavior in accordance to what is beneficial for the situation. Vecchio et al.'s study showed that subordinates' readiness for self-direction and maturity to engage in tasks is achieved by positive results throughout the leader-subordinate relationship when leadership behavior was progressively adapted to the situation. For example, they recommended that leader behavior should progress from telling to delegating as subordinates gain in readiness for self-regulation or self-direction. Fielder's contingency theory of leadership behavior attempts to further explain the situational theory of leadership through recognition and analysis of the relationship between leader traits and situational variables. Furu provides empirical evidence in support of the advantages existing from this model through the analysis of a crime fiction novel. The theme of cultural contingent leadership behavior is explored through the characters of the novel where their leadership behavior is adapted based on cultural context. The main character adapts his leadership behavior to cultural context, influence, and leader-follower relationships, as these are indicators of motivating factors in different cultural contexts. Furu further argues that this analysis, along with other empirical evidence, highlights the contingency factors that show leaders select behaviors of influence in accordance with task, relationship, and followers, and of course, cultural setting. For our case study, we have chosen Tesco, the biggest retailer by sales and the biggest private employer in the UK. It's the world's third largest supermarket group, which embraces a large team of over 500,000 employees in 12 markets, providing more than 8,000 core products to customers. In the 2009 to 2010 financial year, Tesco's revenue reached up to $38.6 billion. One of the core values of Tesco is to treat people how they want to be treated. Tesco believes that valuing the effort of teamwork, treating every employee with trust and respect are both essential to the success of a business. Therefore, as managers in Tesco, they are required to be respectful and inspirational, with willingness to listen and support their teams. There is no leadership in the world that is perfect for every situation. The managers in Tesco choose their leadership styles based on the characteristics of the task. Autocratic style provides clear instructions and rules for what needs to be done, as well as when and how. This style is more appropriate when training new team members or to solve emerging business crises. Laissez-faire leadership style is totally the opposite. The leader gives the biggest freedom and trust to his or her team. This style could be applied when a team has a relatively high maturity. Democratic approach is in between the autocratic and the laissez-faire style, which is commonly used in Tesco's daily operation and decision making. For democratic style, decisions are made within teams, with each member having equal input. The contingency theory of leadership is about matching leadership style to a situation. In regards to Tesco, Berrien is the bakery manager. One of the key challenges of Berrien's job is to ensure his team produces the right products to meet demand at key times. By applying a situational approach, he uses democratic leadership style instead of enforcing a solution. In this case, he asked his team for ideas and eventually the team agreed to split break times so that the product supply was secured. However, in other situations, a more autocratic leadership style is more appropriate. According to Hersley and Blanchard's situational leadership theory, the adoption of specific leadership styles should consider the work-related maturity of followers. Berrien has to apply a more directive style of leadership when training his new staff members. Martin is a program manager for education and skills in Tesco. For some cases, he uses a laissez-faire managing approach. For instance, he leaves an experienced department manager to develop budgets instead of setting budgets for himself. However, if something needs to be done in a very quick time frame, Martin might use a more autocratic style instead. In today's presentation, we defined leadership and its importance in the workplace. We then discussed two theories, the behavioural and the contingency or situational approach to leadership. We also analysed empirical evidence, and finally we explored the case study Tesco. Thank you for watching Group 33's presentation on leadership.